Let's talk about get the Jose business out of the way first. You made the trade for Kyle. You signed John Lucas III. People automatically think that means Jose is either short for Toronto, no longer wanted in Toronto. They look at a couple of years ago when the trade was made and then rescinded. Jose is still valuable insurance here, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
I'm going to call him more than insurance. Jose is a valuable piece of this team. And until something changes where we look to improve our team or make a deal that he's included in, there's no reason to look at him otherwise. I think my job is to make the basketball team better. I think we went out and did that this year. Obviously, the initial frustration was there on the part of definitely his agent. At some point, I did speak to Jose about it, but look, again, I had a task in mind, and it was getting better, and I think we got better at the point guard spot across the board. We've got one of the best combinations of point guard play in the league, especially factoring in John Lucas in that group. For me, I think we've got two starting caliber point guards and a guy that can come off the bench in John Lucas that can put points on the board in a hurry and run a team when he needs to, as he did last year in great stretches when Derrick Rose went out in Chicago. But at the end of the day, this is about getting better. I can't worry about people's feelings along the way. I mean, at some point, yes, you work through those things, you go through the explanations, but if it didn't sit well, you've got to move on. And it's no different with any other topic in life. There's going to be some challenges, there's going to be some adversity. And, the one thing I would tell you is there was never a demand for a trade. There may have been some discussion about the possibility of the amnesty provision being utilized with Jose. But as we speak, he's a valuable member of this team. You cannot neglect the fact that he, at a $10 million number and an expiring contract, it's an attractive piece potentially in a trade. But there's no trade imminent. There's nothing there. That's just full transparency that, in the process of, the summer unfolding, there were some inquiries, there were some discussions, and, those things happen not just surrounding Jose, the player, but every player on our team. And, again, my job is to make sure that we go out and look at ways to improve the basketball team. But right now, we're a much deeper team and a much more competitive team than we were last year at this time.
You said something that you used the word accelerated the process, and you said something recently that made me think back to your first year here, that it was very similar. Like you've come in and there were moves made, and all of a sudden this team kind of came out of nowhere. And there are some people that I talked to last year at the finals that said, don't sleep on Toronto because they have, and this agent told me, they have the potential to have the biggest turnaround in the East this year. And you obviously see a little bit of that similarity here as you did the first year you came here.
I'm not sure if that guy told you that before all the teams in the Atlantic Division made their teams better, but across the board in the Atlantic in particular, there's been a lot of improvement, a lot of change. Obviously, Philadelphia went out and got Bynum. New Jersey / Brooklyn now have gotten a lot better. Other teams making moves, making changes. We're just in the natural evolution of a building process. It started 2 years ago, rebuilding. Last year was about building and establishing the culture. This year is about accelerating, and we're aiming for different heights now. But we're not going to do something to jump out of that framework unless the right opportunity comes along to accelerate that even further or expedite this process further. But what we've done is we've made strategic moves. We've been very cautious and very prudent about the approach we're taking. Last year's selection of Jonas Valanciunas was a clear indication that it wasn't about last year; it was about the future. And we're moving in a direction that's very positive right now. But the East has definitely changed. There's been a few teams taking a few steps backward. Obviously, Orlando somewhat blew things up. New management, new change in direction with Dwight Howard gone. Atlanta, the same circumstances there. New management, new direction. moving a pretty significant player out of the web there in terms of Joe Johnson. Joe Johnson coming to New Jersey now, Brooklyn. But the end result is going to be that we're a deeper team, we're a better team. We're going to try, like heck, to turn this thing in a positive direction in terms of what we do defensively. We're going to continue to build on the foundation established last year, and now we've got to improve things offensively. And as we take those steps forward, we still have flexibility. We still have the ability to bring the right pieces in, and we're going to be looking to manufacture more opportunity to accelerate this process.
Every guy that we've had in here sitting in that chair, and we talk about expectations, are you feeling it from the fans, from within the locker room, and almost without prompting, the word playoffs comes up? Talk to me about the realistic nature of that in terms of the expectation still in the as you call it, the building process.
Like you said, we're an unknown team right now, similar to what happened in 2006, 2007, but again, a different landscape in the Eastern Conference. But what we have is a number of players that are going to come in and address the needs that we had as a team last year. If we had areas of weakness, more than anything, it was offensively. We didn't have enough three-point shooting, which is a critical part of the game. We've addressed that across the board pretty much. Kyle Lowry, Landry Fields, John Lucas, Cleese is back and healthy, Terrence Ross in the draft. These guys can all put the ball in the hole from deep. But at the same time, you talk about speed and athleticism, wanting to run and push the pace. We've got even more athletes now than what we've had in the past. So all those things factored in put us in a position to improve upon where we were last year. And last year, with a fairly depleted roster and lacking certain things, we still found success. And we found success, albeit moderate. It was a very positive step forward. We think we're going to take that next positive step forward. We hope that entails challenging for a playoff spot. That's the end goal. You want to, constantly challenge yourself internally, and you want to meet expectations. And if the expectations are out there that we've got a chance, why not live up to that expectation? Why not put yourself in a position to achieve that? And again, whether we're looking at the financial modeling or the win projections that we've talked a lot about internally, taking the pieces that we have added to this team and plugging them in and hoping that, and making sure that we get that production out of those players that we anticipate, we think we've got a legitimate shot to get there, and that's the goal. We want to challenge for the playoffs.
Tell us something about this team that you think will surprise people, both on the court and off the court. I mean, it sounds like you've got some real personalities and people like Landry Fields and Kyle Lowry. And Landry Fields told us that the most likely guy to be in his replacement in the Andy and Landry show would be Quincy Acey as a rookie. Tell us some things that I think will surprise the fans on the court, but yet off the court too when we hear about some of the personalities.
Character is always something that I put a focus on. You've got to find the right blend of talent and character, and it's not always easy to find that right piece that comes into a locker room that provides leadership or glue, the glue effect, if you will. I think in his own way, Landry could potentially become a significant piece of that chemistry in the locker room. He's a little bit quirky, he's got a great personality, tells jokes, keeps people light, if you will. But when it comes time to play basketball, he plays every possession in a way that you can't deny, what his impact will be. And I think that you're going to see a guy that develops a nice feel for the rest of the team in that locker room setting. John Lucas is another guy that comes in with a little bit of a leadership capability there. What I've seen, he's the smallest guy in the gym perhaps, but people seem to migrate around it, and he is definitely talkative. I put him on the quiet side compared to his father, but he definitely, has a way about him that you can see, and also an air of experience. He's been there, he's been challenged. He had to go to Europe briefly to make it back to the league. Someone with that kind of experience and thought process can really help people understand, especially the young players, understand what it takes to be in this game and how much they should respect the game and appreciate the process and the path to get there and stay there once you're there. But, I think you're going to see a lot of different storylines develop this year. Again, a team with personality. Young Jonas Valanciunas brings a lot to the table in that regard. He's a likable person. He's got some really great qualities about him. The thing you're going to see more than anything is the guy's a fighter. He doesn't back down to anything. I just hope we can keep him on the court. It's just a function of the foul trouble that he may or may not experience. And again, learning the nuances of playing that NBA, center. Playing in the post is tough. You've got a lot of challenges. You've got new points of emphasis defensively that are going to affect him. Some of them are related to moving screens, freedom of movement in the paint, things along those lines. And, that's something that he's going to have to pay close attention to. Listen to, some of the veteran players here in camp, whether it's Jamal McGlure, Aaron Gray, teaching them a little bit about just defending the post with the forearm and the hand as opposed to playing with your chest and bumping and getting tangled. I think there's a lot more, believe it or not, a lot more contact allowed in the paint over in Europe. There seems to be a little bit more flow to the international game at times, but the competition is such that it's very physical, and they let players get away with a lot. So he's going to have to learn those nuances. But the more he's on the court, I think the more appreciation you'll get as a fan for how hard he plays and how much he's bringing to the team. Not necessarily in a statistical way, but in many ways.
There's no hockey right now. And you know what the fan base is like, having been here, in terms of expectations. We've talked about playoffs. Is that a positive or a negative for this team?
Well, clearly the fact that the Maple Leafs aren't playing is negative for this organization, and we hope that the lockout gets resolved as soon as possible. But you can't deny that this is an opportunity for the casual sports fan to migrate over toward basketball, because it is one of the few things that you'll be able to watch on TV. So you might see a ratings increase, you might see some advertising dollars spill over. Some opportunity is clearly there for us. If we deliver, if we play hard, get positive results, it's a good opportunity for us to take advantage of. But again, if I had my druthers, I'd rather have the hockey team playing basketball or playing hockey, and the basketball team playing basketball, and everyone performing at their normal schedule. I don't feel like there will be additional pressure with respect to this situation we find ourselves in, perhaps being the only game being played. I think what we have is a great opportunity. Pressure is always there. Pressure is there. I've been doing this for 20 plus years, and there's pressure every year to perform. You want to put a winning team out on the floor. The last couple of years there was pressure, but it was a different type of pressure. This year, yes, we want to win more basketball games, and there's a different objective and a different target, but the pressure is the same. The pressure is to go out and perform and win and try to do your best, whether it's what I do in my management, with my management team, to what Coach Casey's doing with his staff, to what the players do in that locker room and on the court. We're all facing, a scenario each day that it's about winning. It's about competition. We're in this business for a reason. Players are where they are for a reason, and we want to make sure we get the most out of them. So there's no additional pressure, from our standpoint. I know that there's no additional pressure from the coach's standpoint. I've been asked about my contract situation. That's not relevant to me at all. If anything, a couple of years back, things were a lot worse off because no one saw, what we were trying to do. They were challenging the idea that we tried to live on with the Chris Bosh thing. They challenged the idea that we needed to rebuild. Everything kind of works out for a reason, and as long as I'm here sitting in this chair, I'm going to do everything I can to influence this basketball team to attain some success and sustain that success as well. Everything I do is really about, two things: family and this job. And spend as much time as I can with the family, when that opportunity presents itself. The summers obviously are a time where it's extremely busy as it relates to this business. I'll try to get as far away as possible when it's an opportunity to do so, and there is a little bit of downtime, and that's generally in mid to late August. But I'm a normal guy.
Grinding it.
Yeah. What's that?
Grinding it, right?
But you got to do what you can to make it better. Like a little bit of anonymity from time to time. So whether it's just going to a city where no one knows you, or you're in a foreign country, an opportunity to just kind of let your hair down. What hair I have left, it's falling quickly, but just enjoying that opportunity with the family.